Good morning, Edgewood Golf Shop. This is Larry. Larry Murphy? Click. That was funny. He hung up on me. Phone rings again. Good morning, Edgewood Golf Shop. This is Larry. Larry Murphy? I thought you were at More. Do I have the right number? Is this Moorhead Country Club? Edgewood? Where am I? What am I doing? Matt Cook, how would you answer that?
Oh, I tell you, that's a tough one.
Do we feel honored today?
We do. We have the man, the legend,
The myth? The Hall of Famer?
Exactly.
I would say something else, but
This definitely will be the most listened to podcast. What are we paying Larry today?
you're paying Larry today.
Oh, thanks.
I think I got a Diet Coke out of the spigot. And that's plenty for me. I need that caffeine.
So that voice, that silky young voice you just heard, who we just ran into impromptu up. Where are we at? We're at your place, right? We were at Big Herbs,
We're
and
upstairs at Big Herbs.
Larry showed up, and we handcuffed him and made him come down and to do the podcast.
That's how things roll with us right
We
now.
are right. We were
You end up
very
at
much
Big
like
Herbs, you
that.
probably end up on our podcast.
Yes. So welcome to At What's My Tea Time podcast. Matt Cook is here. Greg McCullough is here, and we have a special guest today. We always have more viewers when we have a special guest. We have Mr. Larry Murphy. Do you know Mr. Larry Murphy, Matt?
I've known
Did you
Larry
work for Larry?
I think I'm the only individual in Fargo Moorhead that did not work for
That's
Larry
what I was
Murphy.
just going to say. That explains a lot, actually.
I was going to ask why he never applied. I don't know. But he didn't. So I would have hired you, Matt. If you would've come to
I
work.
appreciate it. Mr. Russ Nelson had me tied up in the back room, and he would not let me go. So
So now you're going to do some training right now under Larry,
I learn every time I'm with Larry.
right? We all do, right?
Oh, yes.
So Murph, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you very much. I never knew what a podcast was, but here it is. And I am pretty excited and honored to be here.
So having said that, you're another one of our guests that's never listened to our podcast.
I have not, but I sure will from now on.
How you been, Murph?
I've been great. These winters seem to get longer. Not officiating hockey anymore for about 10 years now. So I just look out the window like retired guys do and watch the snow fall and decide I'm going to shovel. And that's getting pretty boring right now. And it's only February 1st. How about that?
So you still spend the winters here.
I do.
Good for you.
Well,
But
most of it.
most of it?
I get away a little bit, yes.
Good. So are you about to get out of here?
Yes, I am.
Are you
Pretty
are you
excited.
watching the Super Bowl in a warmer climate?
No.
Still
I'm
here.
I'm watching it here, yes. Yep,
Right
I am.
after the Super Bowl.
Going to go right after the Super Bowl, yes. Yes, for sure. And it's going to be, it's going to be fun to get out of here and go play a little golf and get just away from the cloudiness and the snow. And oh my gosh, I don't know, all my life, we've always had this question in our minds that we're in the golf business, Julie and I, my wife, and we're always wondering. I worked in Arizona for about 8 or 9 years when I first started, and I kept coming back here in the summertime and going back to Arizona in the wintertime, and I never stopped coming back here. I never understood why I did it, because I had some opportunities down south, but I never chose to do them. So here I am after 50-some years, still doing golf in the north part of the United States.
So what do you think about our immaculate setup we have here?
This is quite a studio. I like it a lot. I'm very comfortable in this setting. It's actually, really nice, Matt. You've fixed the golf shop up for a radio broadcast.
So did our personal assistant get you a pop or a soda or a water, anything that you wanted, a whiskey or a vodka or something like that?
Yeah, well, normally it's a green room, and they put me in a bathroom. I don't know why. That's kind of the waiting room. I don't know why I was in there, but yeah, it was very nicely done. They were very pleasant, and I had a good conversation with them while I was waiting for quite a while. As you guys tried to set this up.
We haven't been in a restroom just yet. We've been about everywhere else and had this.
Let's do that
podcast, but
because we need a little echo.
yeah, there you go.
Echo.
Not a bad plan.
Yes.
Boy.
So what have you been up to, Murph? What are you doing with your life now that you're retired?
Well, I'm trying as hard as I can not to be retired.
Good.
So I'm in golf. I'm with you, Greg, at Edgewood a couple of days a week. I'm an volunteer assistant coach at North Dakota State. And, of course, up until just recently, my grandson was playing golf in town, and now he's at Scottsdale Community College and going to school and going to be playing golf there. So I'll be traveling a little bit down to there. My grandchildren, we have
dancers, we have singers, we have hockey players. Hallelujah for that, and lots of athletes in our family. So I get to follow them, and that's a real pleasure to do that. So I'm actually staying pretty busy. When I leave to go down to Florida, I look forward to playing golf with some friends of mine that have retired from the business and are living in Florida. So that'll be fun.
So is the NDSU team back practicing?
Yes. We just
started?
Just started practicing about 10 days ago, and we are lucky. We have a wonderful indoor facility at NDSU, and we of course are over the old football field, Dakota Field. That's all. They put a bubble up over the top of that for all of the athletics. Football practices there, women's softball, golf, men's and women's golf. Baseball is in there this time of the year. It's just a great facility. We have about 130 yards to hit golf shots. So we practice in there, and then our indoor facility, putting green and chipping, is at the shack, up on the upper level of the shack. So, and now we're going to get a simulator and a couple of TrackMan for the golf team. So, for living in the snow and northern part of the country, we feel we've got a lot to offer to recruits that are looking to come here and play, and for our present team members, they're absolutely loving it.
So when is your first tournament?
Our first tournament is at California Baptist, the 23rd through the 25th of February.
So soon.
Right, and the women start, they start a week before that in Arizona. So, but I'm helping Steve Kennedy with the men's team, and I enjoy every minute of it. Keeps me in the golf business doing that. I know most of the players that are on the team I knew beforehand. So that's fun, and, we look to have a great year this year.
Great. That's awesome.
Is for the college athlete like at NDSU, is it pretty much a year-round thing for them as far as practicing, as far as team practices, or are they kind of on their own in the winter months? Or
well, there are some limits.
Okay.
So we can't practice nor do much with them over the holidays. Of course, they're gone, and we start back up when they come back to school. So from this point until the last tournament, hopefully it's not the Summit League Championship. Hopefully we win that, and then we would go on to the regional tournament. But either at the end of the Summit League Championship, if we don't win, or the regional tournament, then if we were to qualify for the nationals, would be after that. So, somewhere around the first part of March, or and then after that, the regional tournament is in April, I believe, and we go on from there. So they're playing all the way through that, starting around the 15th of January until that time. So, and we've got 6 tournaments this spring. We had we had 5 tournaments in the fall. So they stay busy. And so from end of October until middle of January, they're off. And then, so what is that, 10 months out of the year they're playing. They're on their own in the summertime, of course.
So what you're saying is I can't expect you in the golf shop till like June.
That, well, I didn't want to exactly do that on the air, but that might be true. It's recorded for all time's sake.
I was going to bring up the story about when you showed me your first calendar when I asked you could work.
Yeah.
So Mr. Murphy, right, fills out his calendar. When do you want to work? Whenever you can work is great. And it was, I don't know what month it was. It was in the summer. So it was June, July, or August maybe. I think it was August actually. And out of is there 30 or 31 days in August? 31?
31
days,
yeah.
2 days he could work. 2.
Well,
Matt. He had 29 X's. It was just a big calendar with X's on it.
Do you not know what the meaning of retired is? What were you expecting?
Matt Cook, I will never know the meaning of retired.
He was trying to define the I'm trying not to be retired part. And when I turned that calendar in, I've never filled out a calendar like that. I've had my employees do it. That was hard, man, putting all those X's on there like that.
So now you know what it was like for all your employees that did that, right? Can't work during the Pine of Palm.
That's right.
Can't work on the weekends. Can't work Friday. Yeah, Wednesday, I don't have anything to do, but I really don't want to come to work on Wednesday. One of those kind of deals. Cookie, do you have any guys like that?
Oh, it can get a little difficult.
You want me to start naming names that I know right now?
I'm fortunate. I've got a pretty good staff.
You're such a liar. Come on.
1 week of the summer for sure that I'm going to run into a little bit of hardship. That's the Pine. But other than that, they're pretty good.
Let's talk a little golf. Let's talk a little current golf.
Okay.
Golf pros right now. Tom Hoagie, go.
Wow. Just I'm so happy for him, first of all. And, if you look at the two from here, Amy Olson, Anderson Olson, and Tom Hoagie, you just take a look at the way they've their golf game has improved, and the plan that they're on right now, it's just the one that anybody should look at and say, man, I want to do it just like that. They go on the tours and they work their way up from the tours up to the point that both of them are established players on the LPGA Tour and the Men's PGA Tour as well. And they've done it the right way. They work hard. They get better every year. They work on the parts of their game that they need to work on to get better, and it's just a joy to watch. I think Tom's having a great year already, and it's 1st of February, and Amy's had a great year last year, and they're established tour players, and they've done it the right way in my mind.
So, now I'm not saying you're old here,
Yeah,
but
don't.
so like in the 40s when you turned pro, what happened? Is it the same way?
In the 40s,
I'm kidding you.
born in the
I'm
Well,
kidding
but-
you.
but-
I'm just
but the
teasing
early
you.
50s.
So you obviously you've been here for 50 years.
50, yeah.
50 years,
Yeah,
right?
in Fargo-Moorhead, yeah.
You've had some pretty good local talent from this area that's gone professional and played. What do you think is the one thing that if there's an aspiring young man or woman in the Fargo-Moorhead area, in North Dakota, Minnesota, up in this region, what is the one thing that they need to be able to do to make that step happen?
Well, it seems to me, as much as I hate to say it, it seems to me that if someone's aspiring to play professional golf and to make that their livelihood and to get better and be successful at it, unfortunately they have to move south. And they have to either go to school down south in college to be able to have time to practice really whenever they can and whenever they want to, and not battle the elements that we battle here. So I've always said that we have some great players here, and we have some very good putters here. And putting, of course, is the most important part of golf, I think. But we don't have any great putters here. You can't be a great putter here putting on AstroTurf, and you can't be a great putter in this part of the country without hitting balls. Even indoors is okay, but hitting balls, watching ball flights, getting out to play whenever you want to, and being able to just practice, work out, and do all of the things that you need to do to get better in our climate. It's better for the players, and we know the players from around here that have done this and gone south to improve their games after they turn professional, after their college careers, and gone on. So I think that's the number one thing. You have to be able to play every day, practice every day, work out every day, and it's hard to do that around here in the winter months. So I think that's number one. And then dedication, determination, and keeping your eye on the prize adds a lot to that. Practice regimen. And of course, nowadays, even talk about it on the tour now. You have to pump a little iron. You have to work out. You have to get stronger to be able to play the golf the way that these guys do on tour. Let's face it, they're driving the ball well over 300 yards now. And if you don't do that, you're at a direct disadvantage. So getting stronger and having the opportunity to play and practice outdoors. That's what I think.
Is there a score? Let's say you're a high school golfer. Either we'll do the boys first and then the girls. Is there a score that would be reasonable that you can maybe think that, I think I maybe want to continue this, or is that something that's really doesn't matter?
You mean an actual score that you need to shoot?
Right. So let's say you're a high school student and you're shooting 70, let's say 70s most of the time, 71. Maybe you probably haven't shot 60 something. Maybe, is that something where that person you think could make that next step? Obviously they're going to go to college first, but is that even a college score that would be good enough to play? Well,
stepping stones, and plans on how you want to make this work in your professional career, I think. So I don't know if score counts as much. Certainly, you have to be a very good player here where we live, and if you're playing college golf here or anyplace else, you have to be able to break par, of course. But I think that you need to have a plan, and if you've got your eyes set on playing professional golf, you have to work hard for it. You have to want it a lot to be able to go to the next step after your amateur career or your college career. So I've always said this to players that I've seen from around here, that if they feel that if they can play professional golf or they want to try, and then they're kind of hesitant about going. I always say this to them: if you have the financial means or if you have some backing, why not? Why wouldn't you give it a try? Give it a try on some mini tours. Give it a try playing professional golf, and don't be looking back, sitting in your rocking chair 40 years from today saying, well, what if? I was pretty good. What if? What would have happened? Give it a couple of years. Go out and just try and get your feet wet. And how do you know? You see it all the time. Your game may not really develop until you get an opportunity to play competitive golf year-round, let's just say, or practice and play year-round. So I encourage anyone that I think, has a chance to play, I encourage them to make sure and do it. Don't back away from it. Try as hard as you can to get out. There's some couple of young men that I know that played college golf around here. They're down south now, caddying at a couple of courses in Arizona to get money, playing on some a mini tour there, and just testing their game. So if you think you're good enough, and it's all about what the person thinks. If you think you're good enough, go do it, because you don't want to say, golly, what if? What would have happened if I really would have tried? I wish I would have.
Sure, great advice. How about for two beat up old golf pros that maybe want to play the Champions Tour?
Well, I would suggest for two, if there were two like that sitting at this table, I would suggest simulator golf here in the North Country.
Gimme putts.
Gimme putts, yeah, because you can't. Yeah, the gimme putt is the important part.
Shorter tees.
Well, you can play whatever you want. Yeah, yes.
Mulligans.
Mulligans are good.
I found it
Mulligans are always good. Yeah, and the older you get, the more you get. Kind of goes along with age. So instead of just one on the first tee, you might get 3 or 4 and 9 holes. Because the second one is always the best one. So why not hit 2?
Did you say champions or chumpions? I didn't quite catch that.
We'll have to go back and look, Matt, see which one it was. It's one of the two. With us, we'll let the audience decide which one we are.
Man, I tell you, I can't hit a fairway. I can't swing at 100 miles an hour. I've got no chance.
Possibly. Well, I'm right with you, though, so we're together.
But I average about 2.8 putts per green, so.
That's strokes gained, right? Strokes gained putting, that's you?
Yeah, right.
Huh? Well, you're good now. Have you been, right? We had Chris Croach on, Director of Instruction at Fargo Country Club about a month ago.
Right.
Have you been practicing? Be honest.
No. No. It's been kind of on the sidelines right now. But
So your goal that we set for you, you haven't really started yet.
I am terrible at that.
Okay.
Right out of the gate.
So we gotta work on that, Matt.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, Tom, but, I tell you what, for a local kid, he is having some great success. And he took some of that wisdom that you just gave as far as he went down to TCU and had a nice college career down there, continued to stay down there and work on his game. And, boy, I tell you what a great start to the season. He's already got 3 top 10 finishes. Started out right away with a second-place finish right out of the gate. That was pretty impressive. And he's followed up with a 5th and a tied for 6th. I think right now he is ranked, about 18th FedEx?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
Right into this
isn't that
week.
great?
And
That's
we're
great.
sitting here after day 1 of the Phoenix Open, and he's already got a top 5. And
Not gonna say we black clouded him at all, but I've black clouded him already today.
Tom's going backwards, it looks like, on the leaderboard for round 2.
He's got a lot of time left, though.
Lot
He's
of
got a lot
holes
of
to
time.
play, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that what I said before about going south, you can have a great college career here in the North Country all the way across the United States, because there's some really competitive events to play in, Division I golf, all the way to Division 2 and 3. But by doing that and improving your games at that level, then the next step after that, after you graduate from school, that's most important, and play college golf around here or in the northern part of the United States. I think that after that, you make your decision that, gee, I want to give this a try. Then you can't do it by staying here. After you're done with school, after you're done with your college career, you have to look at going south to improve your game and do anything you want to get to practice and play. So that's important. And let's face it, they're only 22 at that time, 23. So really, I think the average on the men's tour, or I don't know about ladies' tour, but the men's tour was that the most productive part of their career is somewhere around the age of 30. It's been that way. It probably still is that way, because I think Tom Hoagie's closing in on 30, isn't he?
I believe so. Yep.
Yeah. And look at what's happening. But he's played a lot of golf. He's been down south doing that as a professional, and he's traveled the country, and he's a proven player at this time, and couldn't be more happy. I'm excited to see what happens the rest of the year with him and with Amy. Same thing.
Yeah, like you talked about earlier, one of the great things is they both have a great work ethic, which I think is something that I have not seen that in a lot of people that wanted to turn pro around here. Not that they don't work at it, but there's a different level of work ethic that you need to really have. It needs to be, that's got to be it. That's your number one goal every day. And it is a job, and it changes from being fun to it is a job, and sometimes that is difficult. But both Tom and Amy are very good at, you know what, this is my job. I'm going to work at it. I'm going to grind at it. I'm going to do it. And hopefully you can stay there long enough so you start to get better. And Tom's off to a great start. And, I think they started last week, so they're just starting their season. So I'm sure she's been working down in Florida a little bit. I think she went, or Arizona, one of the two places. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yep, they're both proven players now on the tours, which is all of us around Fargo-Moorhead area and around here are so proud of both of them. They're great representatives of us here, and both high-quality people. So that's just going to be fun to watch.
Okay, Larry, thank you very much for stopping by. We're sorry that we corralled you when you really didn't expect it, and we understand that this is a awesome setting that we have right here. Please, as you leave, I think every talk show host kind of gives away presents or bags or something like that. Yours is in the mail.
Okay, that's great. We'll have our mail forwarded, and so it's not perishable, is it?
We'll hand deliver it
to
you.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a deal.
On the beach.
On the
if
beach.
That's okay with
that's
you.
That's okay. That's all right with me. Yeah, just I'll be the one with I'll be the six-pack. And that doesn't mean my body. I'll be the one with the six-pack, and I'll be down on the beach with the shades on and toes in the sand.
Perfect.
However that song goes.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Thanks, Murph.
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you
yep.
both.
Travel
This was a
safe.
pleasure.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to
Yep.
see you guys.
Well, that was awesome to have Larry Murphy with us. It's always fun to talk with him, and honestly, I have learned a lot from him over the years, and so it had been a treat for you to be
How
able to
could
work
you?
for
You
him.
never work for him.
I know, but you know what?
You're,
You've had an
you're
opportunity.
the only person, I think.
Me and Russ Nelson.
You and Russ Nelson. Wow, I mean, think about that.
I know
Think if you, wow, it's just amazing to me when you start to look at all the golf courses and all the golf pros at all the golf courses. There's always some sort of tie to Larry. And look, it's not Hazeltine National. Moore Country Club's not Hazeltine National, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to have 10, 12, 14 PGA professionals come out of that little club in Moorhead, Minnesota says a lot.
Right. They were really fortunate. How long? Larry was there for how many years again?
42, I believe.
42 years at one facility.
At one facility.
This doesn't happen anymore.
No.
It doesn't happen really in any occupation anymore, I don't think. And so that is quite amazing. And he still has, like you said, a number of people that are still employed as far as in the golf industry, and it's pretty impressive.
It is. I mean, you can't go anywhere within, from Rochester, Minnesota to Minneapolis to Grand Rapids, Minnesota to Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, obviously Fargo-Moorhead area, lots of other places too. Washington, D.C., Jay Duffy is the director of golf at Washington Golf and Country Club, and Jay worked in our back room when I worked there. To think about all those people that work for us, Brock Swanson in St. Cloud area, all those people that used to work for Larry, it's pretty cool.
You talked about Hazeltine, Mike Barge.
Mike Barge.
Teaching professional down there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
He talked about sitting on the beach with his abs. Did you get a chance to catch that story as far as the little badgering back and forth between Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka?
I did not, but I saw that it must have tweaked some things, because I saw Greg Norman piped in there too with his six-pack while he was hitting balls as well. What happened between Brooks and...
Well, I think just when Bryson had made the comment saying something about when Brooks, I think, was doing his little swimsuit episode that he didn't see a six-pack. Bryson's been working out hard, in this off-season for him and putting on some pounds, muscle. And so I think Brooks had fired back something to the idea of that maybe he does have a four-pack currently, and that's something that DeChambeau doesn't, referring to the four majors he has currently.
So I have a question with workouts. How long does it take Bryson DeChambeau to work out? Is his slow play? Does he slow play his workout like he slow plays his golf?
I think at the gym they put him on the clock as well.
Did you see he got another slow play talking to?
Yeah. Can you believe it? And yet he still doesn't think it's his problem.
No.
I think it was even, I'm not so sure, I don't remember the quote, but I think he had talked about saying, well, what was that when he was putting out or something like that? And he was like, well, we're going to wait on the next hole anyway. And it's kind of that mentality, I think, is part of the problem once again. It's kind of like when we talk about slow play out here, well, there's no one behind us, Yeah, that's not the issue. There's no one in front of you either in about 5 holes, and there was when you started. So,
right.
But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see now when it comes to the States and and how the whole slow play is handled, in the European Tour. I think it was the second round or the first round of even over in Europe. I think Graham McDowell also had gotten a warning. I don't think it was a penalty at this point, but they obviously are monitoring it. And,
will it change?
I don't know.
Can it
hard.
change? Is there just too many people on the golf course to make it change?
Probably so. And I don't imagine that's going to change because I think that's what the players want is
opportunity.
Exactly. So if you're going to cut that back, that would probably be about the only way. Same thing like when we talk about golf courses, and people's different perceptions. I'd be playing at a private club or a resort club, and maybe the number of rounds isn't what's motivating it, as far as revenue producing, and so therefore they may be able to go at an interval of maybe a 15-minute tee times or something like that. So you don't have as many people on the golf course, so as a result, your pace of play typically is probably going to go a little quicker. If you're going at a short interval, where maybe you're an 8-minute or 7-minute interval or something like that, you got a lot more people on the golf course, and it's just difficult to get moving a lot quicker with that many players. So Tour is kind of the same deal. They can't. It's tough for them on one end to say we need to speed things on up, on the other hand, we're going to keep throwing out huge fields. So
yeah, it's so hard. And you brought up a great point earlier with local golf and local golf courses wherever you play golf. In the respect that you said, it's not about what's behind you. It's about what's in front of you. And again, generally speaking, I think most of the area is 8-minute tee times. It might be 10. Usually it's 8. And an 8-minute tee time, you should be able to keep up to the group that's in front of you. Now, what is keeping up? Keeping up is if you start 8 minutes behind them, which means you're on the same hole as they are, really you should always be on the same hole as they are. And that doesn't mean necessarily that they are walking off the green and you're walking up to the tee box. You should really be able to stay closer to that. And I think if everybody looks in front of them, right, it's not what's behind you, it's what's in front of you, and understand the educational point that if you started on a normal day and there was somebody in front of you and there's nobody in front of you now, you probably need to pick up the pace a little bit if you can. So that it's a great point and something I don't think it's terrible around here. I think we do a pretty good job. I think the players deserve a lot of credit for doing a pretty good job. Obviously, we're not 3 hours, nor should we be. But I think it's a reasonable, it's not 6 hours. It's not very often is it 5 hours unless it's something very unusual. So I think it's reasonable, but I think if we pay attention a little bit to what's going on in front of us, we'd all be a little better off. And we don't have to be like a tour player. And I've said this forever, they'll play as slow as you let them play, period. And the reason they do that is they don't want to wait for their next shot, which is if you're taking 45 seconds or a minute and a half to hit a shot, what's the difference if you're waiting? You're really not waiting. It's going to take you long enough to get that next play off anyway.
Right. Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see, how that does all develop and if it isn't going to really move the needle at all. Like Burdick is still out there, and we'll see. But, they've got the waste management going on in Phoenix this week. Obviously, most listeners have probably heard a little bit about it. It is quite a show, unlike any other. Tom Hoge probably had a great opportunity to prepare for this week, playing last week under a similar situation, being paired with Tiger Woods.
Yeah, second time, and he played great.
Yes, can you imagine what that was like for him? I mean, that's a whole nother level. If anybody's been out to a tour event before, there's a difference between certain groups and the group that Tiger's playing in. And it's going to be quite raucous. There's going to be a billion people on out there. And so I would think that that had been a great experience for Tom.
And tour players have said this somewhat. Obviously, playing with Tiger Woods, you have more people there where you are. Sometimes they say it's harder playing directly in front of and then directly behind Tiger because of all the movement that's going on and all the activities that are going on. So, second time Tom's played with Tiger, thought he handled himself great. He's playing very good golf. Again, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. It's final round last week, and he outplays both Tiger and J.B. Holmes, I think was his other partner playing in that group. and scores better in both of them. And so that was fantastic. And he is playing in Phoenix this week right now. Phoenix has got a pretty good field once again this week. I think the attendance numbers just continue to just skyrocket. It's amazing. I know you had sent or showed me some pictures earlier of some individuals that are at the tournament this week. And what time did you say they were showing up in the morning?
Well, they started lining up this morning at 5:30 in the morning, and it was deep. I mean, it was deep and loud at 5:30 this morning. And I guess it's, I was there a while ago that didn't have the stadium necessarily on 16. I think it was probably, there was 150,000 people the day there that I was there. And you think about that. You get Fargo-Moorhead. Every person in the Fargo-Moorhead area comes out to Rose Creek and sits and watches, not that they're necessarily watching, but to play golf. It is crazy. If you're a people watcher, it is phenomenal. As a tour player, it's got to be great to have that many people, other than the fact that at sometimes at certain holes it probably gets a little out of hand.
Yeah, I would imagine so. It'd be interesting to see as far as of all the people that attend that tournament, I wonder what percentage actually are avid golfers, because I remember even years back when I had went as well, I think there were several people there that I don't think it was the golf that they were coming to watch. I think it was just the whole party atmosphere and everything else. And like I said, they've taken it to a whole nother level now. And it's kind of unique that I think there's something like that on tour with Phoenix. I don't think I'd want to see that being a regular situation out there. But that being said, it's pretty neat. And obviously it draws a lot of people to that venue, which hopefully also is good for the game, maybe to experience that. I think, the players obviously know what they're getting into, and they continue to get a pretty good field. So I don't think that's become a huge deterrent because of that carnival atmosphere. But it's a good time. It's a fun golf course. I heard I have not played the golf course. Obviously, been on it before, but have you had a chance to play it before?
I have, a long time ago.
What do you think as far as from what I'm trying to remember? There were some people that suggested that they thought maybe that would be a great venue for a Ryder Cup.
I don't know if you know what? I would say it would work. You can hold so many people there, and I think that it's a town that probably would, most towns support it. I think the ease of getting in and out. There's a lot of logistical things that have to go on there. They've hosted a tour event. They could, it wouldn't be necessarily the type of golf course that they've played. But I think for the Americans to win, it's perfect because it's short and you got to make putts,
right?
And you're going to shoot 10 under par. So maybe we do need to wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Maybe go to the Phoenix area, to the TPC of Scottsdale to have a Ryder Cup.
And there'd be some great holes, I think, from a match play standpoint. Down the stretch. Everybody kind of talks about 15, a reachable par 5 that's kind of on an island green, and 16, of course, within that stadium. Outside of the stadium being around, it's kind of just a normal par 3, I think, for the most part. But then 17 has really got some options there, being a drivable par 4 with some trouble. And 18's even now. I used to think 18 was huge. A big hole, and now it's like pretty short.
Like just that bunker on the left that they hit it over.
Right.
I'd hit it 50 yards into the water, trying to get to the
bunker. I thought
bunker.
the water used to be something that was like, oh my gosh, how could you ever hit it over that? But yeah, now I got all these church pews after the water.
Yeah, you get 80 yards left there, which is incredible. As far as they hit it there is phenomenal.
Yeah. So it's just a really, really kind of fun event. I haven't had a chance to get back in a number of years now, but that would be one I think that would be kind of fun to go back and see how things have changed and see what those crowds are like. And like I said, after day one, Tom was sitting there, I think top 5 anyway, and I think he was reeling backwards a little bit today, but hopefully he'll be able to make that recovery and turn around once again. So.
Okay, so we'd like to thank Matt. Thank you for hosting. We kind of did an impromptu deal because we saw Larry. We were actually working. Fargo Park District people. We were actually working, and we saw Larry, and we convinced him to do a podcast. So we thank Smurf for stopping by. Great guy. Worked for him for a long time. Matt, thanks for having us again. I think next time on our What's My Tee Time podcast, we're going to dig into the World Handicap System a little bit now that everybody's had a chance to, if you've paid attention to your handicap in the Northland, you've seen some changes, new GIN app for your handicap. So we'll talk a little bit about that and see if we can educate the average person, which is what the USGA is after, or the World Handicap is after. They want everybody to get a handicap so we can all play a game and it be fair. Fair?
I think that's fair.
All right, Cookie. thanks for hosting again.
Thank you.
We'll see everybody later. We hope everybody has a great golfing week.